Okay, so it's raining like hell, but we are out here on Balboa between 37th and 38th to visit Balboa Theater. This little neighborhood theater has been around since 1926, which makes it one of the oldest in the city, and it's also one of the last places in the Richmond to catch a movie, so let's go inside. I think I really like the Balboa Theater because it really embraces everything about classic movie theaters, like the neon lit marquee, the architecture, the old posters on the inside. Sure, it may not have the fancy reclining chairs or the extravagant food options, but I think it's that authenticity that really makes this place endearing. I would say that operations here are running pretty smoothly right now, with the theater showing both independent and local films alongside the bigger blockbusters, as well as kind of like these local movie nights that they show VHS. They have holiday screenings, they have live music sometimes. But running a movie theater isn't all Raisinets and Milk Duds. Just like any bag of freshly made popcorn, you're gonna bite into a couple of kernels. Yes, even with the Balboa's popcorn being the best in town, they use real butter, mind you, none of that fake stuff. A few unpopped morsels of misfortune have surfaced in the theater's 93 years of operation. The most notable being the fires that ravaged the building first in the 1940s and then again in the 70s. After that second blaze, the theater was split into two, doubling the Balboa's theater count and presumably their income as well. Then, only a few short years ago, in 2013, a big change swept the entire theater industry, one that threatened to wipe out small independent cinemas like the Balboa. Digital projection became the new standard, and everyone would be required to switch to the quite expensive technology before the end of the year, lest they be stuck with no way to screen new movies. It was a cost that forced many of the city's neighborhood theaters out of business, but the Balboa's owner, Adam Bergeron, wasn't about to let that happen. Instead of closing up shop, he turned to crowdfunding to raise money for the transition, and to his surprise, over $100,000 poured in from the local community and from people all around the world. It seemed like everyone wanted to see this historic building stick around. It's still chugging along, as is the only other movie theater in the Richmond still in operation, the 4-Star. Sitting pretty right here on the corner of 23rd and Clement. If the Balboa is the bigger, flashier theater in the area, I would say the 4-Star is the eccentric little cousin, screening a heavy rotation of foreign, independent, and art house films. Now, I say little, but the 4-Star is actually older by about a decade. The building opened in 1913, then called the La Bonita Theater. Inside, you'll find a pair of vintage auditoriums, each one donning the kind of trimmings you'd expect from an early 20th century theater, from the big fancy borders surrounding the screen, right down to the pressed tin paneling on the walls. So that's two theaters still left here in the Richmond, but ask any local and they'll tell you that there used to be more. Like the Alexandria, for example. While the entrance has certainly seen better days, its marquee still towers above the corner of Geary and 19th, waiting for someone to come along and repair its dilapidated shell. It makes me a little sad that even 15 years after closing, we haven't seen any work being done to revitalize the building. Yes, there is a new owner, and yes, they're currently working very hard at finishing up the condos in the old parking lot, but hurry it up already. I'd give anything to see that sign illuminate the neighborhood once again. At the very least, the plan for the Alexandria is to keep the front facade and entrance. Can't really say the same about the Coronet because that's now the Institute on Aging. The Coronet also closed in the mid-2000s and was one of the premier places for moviegoers in the entire city, not just the Richmond. It was a single-screen theater that almost exclusively showed big blockbuster movies for months on end, and with good reason too. Its massive auditorium had seating for over 1,300 people. I remember standing pretty much in this exact spot for Star Wars Episode 1 on opening weekend. My dad and I just buying tickets on a whim, and I remember being just captivated by the whole experience. There were people dressed up as Jedis, having lightsaber battles in front of the Coronet's giant screen, each one of them excited to finally see what pod racing really was. I remember going with my brother and sister to the Alexandria to see Spy Kids. It was the first time that my parents had ever left all three of us home alone by ourselves, so immediately we just left the house to go see a movie about kids that are also spies. Sorry, I'm not trying to wax nostalgic on all of you, but when you're talking about movie theaters, it's kind of hard not to. I think the most important thing that movie theaters do for us is help us define a time and place in our lives. Like, we always remember what it was like to watch our favorite movie. We remember what snacks we ate, how old we were, what it was like walking into the theater, the audience's reaction to some of the movie's biggest moments, how we felt walking out and being in awe of or disappointed with whatever we saw on screen. That's the whole reason why we keep our ticket stubs, to look back and recall not only the movie we watched, but also the experience of watching it. All the sights, the sounds, the smells, especially the smells, are frozen in time, encapsulated into that tiny slip of paper. And in a city that's constantly moving forward and ushering us towards the next new thing, they're there to hold our place in line, so that we can always return to our favorite blockbuster openings, indie tearjerkers, first dates, birthday parties, or even some alone time. Hype fades. Movies come and go. Trends shift and sway with each passing year. And at the risk of sounding like a complete nihilist, everything will come to an end one day. But hear me out. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we should acknowledge that things we love and people we care about won't be around forever. After all, impermanence is one of the things that keeps places like the Balboa and the 4-Star going. In the most dire of times, it drives them to stay afloat, to defend against the odds, and to succeed where the Alexandria and the Coronet couldn't. Time is the one thing that we'll never get a refund on, so spend it while you've got it. Preferably at a movie theater. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. Movies have always played a very special part in my life, and I was very thankful for the people from the Balboa and the 4-Star for letting me, come in and be able to record and be able to tell the story about these theaters in my neighborhood. So if you like this video, you can show me that you like it by hitting the like button down below, hit the subscribe button, the bell so you can get notifications for any new videos that I post. Also coming up, I'm going to be doing a little breakdown of the map made by the guys who wrote and directed The Last Black Man in San Francisco. They call this the Frisconian Guide to San Francisco. It's a huge illustrated map with a bunch of illustrations, all these spots that locals love to go to, places that were in the movie and places that they hope will stick around. So I hope you guys are excited for that, and I will see you all at the next spot.